Have you ever thought about how difficult it would be to make a top 20 list of all of the manga that you read in 2023? Because that's the struggle that I'm going with, but I've managed to do it. Hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to one of the last videos of 2023. And yeah, I'm going to be talking about my top 20 manga that I read in 2023, because wow, I read a lot of manga in 2023. I was looking over my list because I keep track of everything, and I think I'm near-ish to 500 read volumes. Maybe a little bit higher than that, but yeah, a lot of crazy stuff I've read. A lot of things I didn't care for. A lot of amazing work as well. But yeah, managed to compile most of them into a top 20 list. It was a ton of fun to make. Very difficult, to be completely honest. I actually moved around a lot of stuff, quite a bit. But I do have some honorable mentions as well. Now, let me give you some quick I guess rules that I have for my own list. One, this list is literally anything I read in 2023. That means that any of the series on here can be anything that I read from between January 2023 to December 2023. That does not mean they have to have been released in 2023, so you will see some older series on here for sure. Two, anything that I've read doesn't necessarily count. I want to make these lists a little bit more interesting, so the way that they are basically counted for is they make it on the list if I have read over 50% of what I own for that series. So, for instance, if I owned Naruto and I had volumes 1 through 54 and I read around 30 volumes, it would count for this list. But just know Naruto's not on here. I've read Naruto before. Unless I was doing a reread, but that's a little bit different, and it would be dependent. You'll see. There's one exception on here that I'll discuss when we get to it. But yeah, those are basically the only rules I truly have for this list. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff, and I'm really excited to get into it. So let's get going now with the first part of the top 20. This is going to be 20 to 11. So look forward to the top 10 after this video releases on Christmas Eve, if you celebrate Christmas Eve. If you don't, happy holidays. Let's have a good one. Let's get going. All right, let's begin with some honorable mentions. So we have 4 series that I'm going to talk about for honorable mentions. First up was one that actually got knocked off because of my self-proclaimed rule, and the first one is going to be Slam Dunk. So I actually read a good chunk of Slam Dunk towards the beginning of this year, and I'm so happy I did. This series is remarkable, fantastic, so much fun, great series. If you don't know it, it's a very, very popular basketball manga by Takehiko Inoue, the same mangaka behind Vagabond and Real. But this series follows our boy here, Hanamichi Sakuragi, who is kind of like a delinquent and is known for getting rejected by girls at his school. And one of them kind of sees that he's really good for basketball, so kind of asks him to try it out, see what happens, and yeah, he gets sucked into it and starts to learn how to play basketball, and we get to meet an absolutely remarkable, fun cast of characters, and we get some awesome art across the board. I love seeing Takehiko Inoue's evolution of his art throughout this entire series, but man, Slam Dunk is such a fun read. If you haven't read it before, it's a great time to get into it. The reprints are out. It is possible to get the entire series again, and definitely worth a read, but obviously, by my own rules, couldn't add it because I actually read less than half of the series for this year. But I had to put it on here. I had to talk about it because I love, love, love Slam Dunk. All right, up next on my list of things that I would say honorable mentions, Helter Skelter, Fashion Unfriendly by Kyoko Okazaki. Wow, this was a lot to read, but basically it focuses on the damaging perception and everything that has to do with the fashion industry and the modeling industry, and how it completely ruins women's, I guess, self-esteem and various other parts of themselves. But it's just really sad and depressing, but it's a very, very sobering read. I think it's really important in general just to see the horrors of the fashion and modeling industry, and the way that people will push themselves to the point of self-destruction. So it's just really sad, but overall it's a fantastic read. Kyoko Okazaki really knows how to write characters that you're going to feel sorry for, but also be very angry at. So I'd say give it a shot, but make sure to check out the trigger warnings for this before you read this, because there is a lot. Another honorable mention is Josie, the Tiger and the Fish from Seiko Tanabe and Nao Emoto. Just a really, really good, like, beautiful read. I love this a lot. The art is absolutely gorgeous, and I just really like the story and themes that are introduced in this story. I know it also has a film, and I don't know how good the film is, but this manga is really good, and it is one giant volume, so yeah, it's a pretty fast read, in my opinion, and just absolutely gorgeous art, and you're going to love the characters a lot. I think they're written extremely well, and I think the ending is very nice as well, so I really like this one, but it just didn't crack that top 20. And last but not least, I had to introduce My Girlfriend's Child from Mamoru Aoi. Yeah, so this one is just very, 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 very close to making my top 20. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought it's a really gorgeous read from what I've read already. There's only 3 volumes out right now. I've only read 2. But it's just a really beautiful story following the story of these 2 here, where they find out that she is pregnant in high school, and it's about their trials and tribulations of having to live with this and what they're going to do post finding out this information. So it's a lot, but I think it's well researched. It's really well understood. A lot of the characters' reactions to their pregnancy is feels real, and I really like that quite a bit, because I feel like some of these series can be a little bit too like bombastic and dramatic about it, but we do get a nice mix of reactions to it, where, you know, you have like your kind of quiet people, the kind of the ones like, oh, don't tell anybody else, or the people who are like, you know, it's your life, do what you want, kind of stuff. So overall, really great series for now, but yeah, it just didn't crack my top 20. Number 20. So, number 20, this is going to be the start of the full list. Are you all ready? You might be disappointed a little bit by number 20, considering what the series is, but I had to because I've been having so much fun with it. Number 20 goes to Midori Days by Kazudo Inoue. This series is so dumb and is so aged like you would expect it to from a 90s 2000 series, but I cannot lie, I'm having the grandest of times reading this series. This series is so much fun, but it follows the story basically of this delinquent kid here who is known for having like this super strong, powerful right hand. It's like the devil's right hand, I think is what they nickname it. And then one day he wakes up with this girl on his hand, and he's like, what the heck? And this girl, you come to find out, Midori, is in love with our main character. So yeah, it's very, very strange, and it's a really weird series just across the board, but I don't know, it's charming, it's fun, and like, although some parts have aged like stale milk, other parts are actually surprisingly progressive, or like just like, this is like, huh, that's kind of surprising from a shonen series. But overall, I've been having a great time. Midori Days is probably the worst series on here objectively, but I can't stop reading it, and I've just been enjoying it quite a bit, so had to put it on here, and number 20 I think is the perfect spot for it. Number 19. So, number 19 is, this one's kind of a recent read, and it took forever. This was a surprisingly dense read, but honestly not surprising also just because of how big this volume is. But that is going to go to K-On! So, K-On! The Complete Omnibus Edition from Kaki Fly, and yeah, what can I say? It's just a really fun, goofy little, like, slice of life / coming of age story, following the story of these 4 girls who are in the, like, pop music club, I think is what it's called. Yeah, they just have like their goofy little adventures, practicing music, being lazy, doing basically anything but playing music. But I don't know, I got just super entertained. I got super sucked into it. I think the art is great. I think the color pages are nice. And overall, it's just a lot of fun. The comedy's hilarious in so many different parts. And there's a lot of likable characters just in general from the series. Just as a note, if you've never read a 4-koma before, that's basically a 4-panel comic. So most of the stories are going to be finished or started and finished within these. Obviously, you know, there are quite a few exceptions in this, but that's usually how it works, is that you just kind of read like this. But man, K-On! Is a ton of fun. I had a great time. Will I watch the anime? Probably not, because I've already read this, but yeah, it's a good time. My favorite character is Mio. She is the best. Just saying. Number 18. Okay, number 18 is a fun one, interesting one, and that's gonna go to Mothers from Kusahara Umi? I probably should have looked at what I think it's an O. But this is a really, really good, like, short story collection from Kusahara Omi, published by Glacier Bay Books. This is a really good release. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of short story collections, and this one specifically just feels like very unique. Definitely not what I was expecting across the board, but there's a lot of really great stories in here, and just fantastic art across the board. Yeah, I think actually my favorite one is going to be this one here, the butterfly one. But to not spoil it, it's yeah, it's just a little. There's a lot of sad moments. There's a lot of really great moments. A lot of like just kind of like calming. And you just feel ethereal? I don't know if I'd use that word. But it really gets you thinking throughout a lot of this. So overall, I really liked Mothers. I thought it was a great time. And you should definitely go pick it up while you can, because I believe it is a limited-ish print. So give it a shot and tell me how you feel about it in the comments below. Number 17. So number 17. This one is one I've talked about quite a bit. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll probably expect this, and you might have actually expected it to be higher, but this is where I placed it. So number 17 goes to Until I Love Myself, The Journey of a Non-Binary Manga Artist by Poppy Pasuyama. This is a 2-volume autobiographical series by Poppy Pasuyama, discussing basically their trials and tribulations of learning about themselves, by discussing a lot of the I guess moments throughout their life that really formed who they are today, culminating or starting with a extremely traumatic experience that they had as a manga assistant, while also discussing different parts of their lives from like being a child to elementary school to middle school and so on and so forth. Overall, this is a fantastic autobiographical series. I was completely blown away by it. It made me feel chills. It made me feel creeped out. It made me feel gross. It made me feel angry towards certain people. It made me feel so many different kinds of emotions, which I think is important for an autobiographical series. But I think this one is done in such a way that you really feel like the writer's heart and emotion in it, and you want to root for them throughout this entire like situation, and you just man, it's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into this one. Definitely check out the trigger warnings for this one as well, because there is quite a few. But overall, I think this is a really important read. I discussed that in my Manga Awards video, and it was a lot, but it was definitely worth the read. I think it's extremely important. I think it's very beautiful in general, and definitely give it a shot. I think it's worth it. Number 16. Number 16. So, number 16 is going to a mangaka that I already talked about, but she was originally in the honorable mentions, but now she's officially on the list. And that is going to go to Pink from Kyoko Okazaki. So, wow. Pink was crazy. If you want to talk about, like, a capitalist, or talking about like the horrors of capitalism and overconsumption of just materials and everything around them, and focusing more on consumerism than yourself, I think this is the series for you. It's got a lot of important themes. I think it's really sad across the board, but also has like these surreal themes that help you kind of like give you this sense of like a separation, which is kind of nice. It's weird, it's goofy, but also I think it's extremely important, and it just helps you to kind of really realize some of the issues that our society faces. Even though this is an older, I would say older series, it's definitely still prevalent today. And man, it's just a lot to read. The art is, of course, gorgeous. Kyoko Okazaki, I just really enjoy her art style. And yeah, it's got a lot to it. It's very depressing, and once again, Kyoko Okazaki's character writing is so good. You're going to love and hate so many of these people, but by the end of it, you're going to feel fairly empty, and I think that's the point. So, yeah, overall, this was a really great read, and I definitely didn't know what I was expecting when I picked it up, but I'm definitely happy that I read it, because it was great. Number 15. Alright, number 15 is one that I've discussed before, and one that I said was most likely going to be on here because I just really like it, and that is going to be Mermaid Scales and the Town of Sand by Yoko Komori. And yeah, this one is absolutely fantastic. Another one of those one-shots. I have a lot of one-shots on here, actually. One-shots / short story collections, but that's, I don't know, it's just something I really like. I think it's easier to remember things for a story that's only like one volume. But yeah, this one's really great. It tells a kind of like interesting like coming of age / slice of life story of this girl and her dad who moved to this oceanside town after a divorce, and she's just trying to acclimate to this new city that celebrates mermaids, allegedly. And so it's just very beautiful. I think there's so many good, strong written characters. The art is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know, there's something about this really, really unique art style that really sucks me in. I think it's really great. There's a lot of just beautiful moments across the board, and a lot of just really sad moments as well. I think like there's just a good mix of like this comedy, slice of life, but also the drama and like understanding these kinds of things and how characters are reacting to the situation around them. Overall, this is a fantastic read. It's definitely worth it. I mean, it is a little chunky, but it's a pretty fast read, to be completely honest, and I think it's definitely worth a checkout. So you should go check it out right now. Number 14. All right, number 14 is the same manga that I've already mentioned twice and is coming in for a third round. Hallelujah. It's going to be just, I don't know, this just happened, okay? But number 14 goes to Kyoko Okazaki's River's Edge. Yeah, this one was on my manga awards for 2023. It was in my FVI, and yeah, I loved this. This was crazy. If you want to talk about absolute chaos, this one specifically, out of all of the Kyoko Ozaki stuff that I read, which was a lot, thinking back on it, that's kind of weird. Anyways, this one I would say is the most chaotic out of all of the ones that I read, and that's saying something because the other two are very chaotic, but this one is just like tells a story about these kids in high school lives and their various like interconnecting weaving of stories and threads and just absolute ridiculousness. I mean, some of the stuff that happens in this specific volume will be like, holy crap, what is wrong with these kids? But I think it's just like an interesting look on like what happens when high schoolers are basically not told or are not like given a chance to truly like develop. Like there's these like one of the kids is like mercilessly bullied, another one is getting cheated on, and it's just like it's just a lot. But basically, yeah, it's just a lot of these kids are thrown into precarious situations, and it's about how they're developing and how they cope with these certain situations, and it's a lot. There's so much that happens, and it's like really screwed up in a lot of like ways. But I think it's also just one of those important reads where it's just a really just grimy, dirty high school drama that you're just going to be, once again, angry, but also like you kind of sympathize with these characters in some ways. So overall, this was a fantastic read. I love this one. This is probably my favorite Kyoko Okazaki work. Pink is a very close second. As you can see, it's only two sections behind, but I absolutely loved it. And yeah, can't wait to keep reading more Kyoko Okazaki work. Number 13. All right, number 13 is a interesting series, one that I actually put higher than I expected at first, but after thinking about it and like kind of contemplating how much I've read this series, I felt like this was the perfect place for it. And number 13 goes to Anonymous Noise from Ryoko Fukuyama. So I've read 11 volumes of this series already, and I own 13 of them, and I think there's 18 or 17 or something like that of this series. And yeah, this series is just another one of those like kind of messy, kind of strange, but a total ton of fun series that I just really, really enjoy. But basically it follows a story about this girl here on the front who befriends someone across the way, and they like sing songs to each other, but after a certain situation he disappears. So she's all sad and kind of just lost the person that she used to sing with, but ends up meeting this other person on the beach, and she starts to learn to sing again. After he also disappears, she has kind of given up on singing for anybody. She wears a mask because she's kind of like traumatized by both of these experiences, but ends up meeting both of them once again. One of them who has fallen in love with her, and the other she has fallen in love with. So it's just a messy kind of like semi-love triangle, semi-not. It's more of like a bracket, I would say. But yeah, this was just a really fun read. I just really like things that have like a music theme to it, and this one has a musical theme throughout all of it. I really like the art. I really like where the story goes for the most part. I like most of the characters. I think most of the characters are a ton of fun, and overall it's just a really good read. I think Anonymous Noise is worth checking out because I don't know, it's a good time. It's a really good time. Number 12. All right, number 12 is a series that I read in its entirety at the beginning-ish of the year, and that goes to Mare, Marchin Awakens Romance from Nobuyuki Anzai. So, I was actually contemplating putting Flame of Recca somewhere on this list, but I felt like I haven't read enough of that series to be able to justify putting it on here. But Mare, I've read the entire thing, and man, it was a great time. Is some of the action scenes a little too short for my taste? Sure. Is the art not like the best thing in the world? Maybe, but man, some of the action scenes of this are like actually a ton of fun. There's a lot of fantastic character designs across the board. I like the weapon ideas and the creations that that Nobuyuki Anzai creates in this series. There's a lot of like interesting scenarios across the board. The story is pretty simple but straightforward and makes sense. They don't really like retcon anything. And yeah, just a really likable main character. I love my boy here, Ginta. He's great. He's a ton of fun. It's one of those series that like I don't necessarily have to have my brain chugging this entire time. You can just kind of read it, enjoy yourself, watch people beat the crap out of each other, and just enjoy it. And that's what I did. I think it's a worthwhile read. It's only 15 volumes, and yeah, I had a great time. It was fun, and I think at the end of the day, that's part of reading manga is just enjoying yourself, having a great time, allowing yourself to just have fun. Because I feel like if you're always like, how do I say it, analyzing like too deeply, and you're like, oh, this series didn't do things that blah 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 blah, then you're just not gonna have fun with it. And I think Mare is a great example of that. Like, you don't need to super analyze anything. You can if you want, but I think that's what loses the charm of Mare if you do that. So yeah, just give it a shot, have some fun, and yeah, this is my number 12 pick. Number 11. All right, number 11. This is the last of this video before we move into the top 10, because that will be its own separate video. But number 11 is a series that I have been just eating up, which that will be funny in about 5 seconds. So this series I've just been consuming quite a bit. It's been a ton of fun, and I am loving it, and that is Yakitate Japan from Takashi Hashiguchi. If you want a comedy akin to Food Wars meets like Bobobo, this is perfect for you. Yakitate Japan is so weird, so bizarre, absolutely strange. But it basically follows the story of our main character here, who is trying to make a Japan, or basically a bread that is going to become the national bread of Japan. So it's about his story of becoming a popular baker, joining Pantasia, and various other things. He meets a quirky cast of characters, including a certain judge who does some really weird stuff. This series like references a bunch of other manga series for kind of no reason, but I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious. There's just a ton of like references. Some of them I understand, and others I completely do not. There are references to like actual people throughout the entire series, but man, it's fun. I don't know, the art is fun, the art is great. The bread like information is actually surprisingly like helpful and informational. And it's really great. It's just a really great time. I've read almost the entire series up to this point. I think I've read 20 volumes out of 27, I want to say. So I'm really close to finishing it. But this has been one of the better long reads that I've had. And I can't say enough about it. I think if you enjoy Food Wars, if you enjoy Bobo, and you want some weird fusion of that, Yakitate Japan is perfect for you. And it's great. I think you can get most of it online, to be completely honest. So, and I think you can also read it online at the Viz Media app. So there is plenty of opportunities for you to check it out. Give it a shot. It is a little dense, I will say that. Some of the reading will take you a bit, but I think it's definitely worth reading. It's such a fun time. I enjoyed it through and through, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it, hopefully. And yeah, that's going to be it for this part of the top 20 manga of 2023. What did you think of my 2211? Did you like any of those series? Did you like them more? Do you think you would have put them higher on your list? Do you think they should have been lower? Do you think they shouldn't have been on this list in general? Let me know in the comments below. I'm kind of curious because I did choose a lot of very odd series, I would say, or a lot of ones that like may have ranked higher than others, but it's just kind of like my taste is just the way, I don't know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But yeah, I had a great time with all of this. This was such a fun time. I can't wait to film the top 10 manga because I think you will be very surprised by what I put on there. Anyways, you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, you can even join the membership club. There aren't a lot of stuff there yet, but I would really appreciate if you want to try it out. You'll get some of these videos early. You may get this video early. I don't know. Maybe you will if you join right now. But thank you guys so much. Honestly, it has been a fantastic year, and I will probably talk more about that in my top 10. But thank you once again for all the support. It means a lot. You're all amazing. I love you so much. Love you as platonically. Okay. Anyways, this is going to be it for this video. I will see you in the next one. So I will leave now. Ready? Poof. Number 20. So number 20 is going to be quite an interesting series, actually, and I just realized I'm not doing this yet.